Good morning, traders and investors around the world, and welcome to Monday morning's edition of premarketinfo.com, where we prepare you for the most important hour of the day, the first hour. Well, Dennis, I hope all our traders are not wore out from watching those football games yesterday and last night. A little bit of a trading activity going on this morning. We're up almost 2 points.
Yeah, pretty quiet morning overall, so maybe they are tired after watching those games there, Joel. Obviously, the one kicker not doing so well, and the other one putting in their team into the Super Bowl. But let's talk about the markets. The only thing I really see moving this morning is research in motion, where it's popping up on their co-CEOs are stepping down there. But otherwise, it's actually a pretty quiet morning, Joel.
Okay, Globex slow. Good number for you folks on the downside. 1305 stands as our low this morning. That is one tick above Friday's low of 1304.75. So the strength of this bull market hinges on 1305. Coming on the upside, we made a Globex high at 1314. Really not a relevant number in that area. If that 1314 holds up as the high of the day, we have a downside target of 1299 and 1298 and a quarter. If that 1205 holds up as the low of the day, we have an upside target of 1320.75. Right now, I'm looking at the pivot, this 1309, which is also our mid-range of the day, is our swing area. As long as we stay above 1309, we're good to go north. Moving on to the Big Ten, Dennis, starting with ExxonMobil, which has regained the lead as the top component is the S&P. Closed Friday right on the high of the day. Strong move, 87.49. Looking up, Dennis, I only see 88.13, which was the high on May 2nd, to be our next resistance point. And coming back on the downside, looking at Friday's low of 86.72 up to the $87 level to be support.
Get back to March, isn't it 88.23? I think that's the
okay.
52-week high too there, Joel. So you're right. Call 88.13, 88.23. 88.23 is your major resistance on this. That's your 52-week high. I think that's where the stock seems to be going and wants to go up there to test. So I'd expect some pretty decent resistance, probably a little bit starting at 88. We always know the whole numbers to come into play when they haven't been touched for 6 months, so I wouldn't be surprised some people are selling in front of that 52-week high at 88. Stock is trading up a little bit this morning, up 6 cents, 87.56, but actually pretty quiet overall, Joel.
Okay, Apple Computer, after hitting an all-time high above 430 early in the week, was extremely soft on Friday, Dennis. Even with the Microsoft and all the other numbers out there, I guess it decided to follow Google. But we will use the 427.50, which was Friday's high, which coincided right with Thursday's close at 427.75. That will be our major resistance point. Coming back on the downside, Friday's low was also the weekly low at 419.75 level. Will be good support in Apple today.
Yeah, it did follow Google, Joel. Opened at the high, 427.49, topped out at 427.50 right there, 1 cent higher, and then never looked back. Went straight down off that Google report. I'd keep an eye on Google again. But it is getting a lift here this morning, Joel. Apple is up over $3 here this morning, so showing some pretty good strength. Not exactly sure why it's up $3. There's some news on Research in Motion. I don't see anything company-specific on Apple here yet. Maybe it's just a bounce, as people seem to always like to buy this stock when it pulls back. I'd use that 419.75 low as initial support. It takes that out. The move could continue lower.
Okay, IBM, which blew the street away with its numbers on Friday, monster rally, got up to the 188.95, Dennis. So we're trading a little bit below that level now. Let's call 188.95 major resistance. Above that, the December 15th high of 191.20. Coming back on the downside here, calling support. I mean, Friday's low at 184.75. Also with the gap to fill below that to Thursday's high. Unless you're covering a short that you've initiated early in the session, I can't really see a great stopping point on the downside to stick my neck out and buy this IBM.
Quite a bit of error everywhere here, Joel. Had such a move on Friday, up over $8. That is just an enormous move for Big Blue. 188.52 is where it closed. It actually is trading down a little bit, 188.05. Quite a few shares trading down there. It's 10 or 12 trades down there, so it was maybe giving back a little bit after its monster move there. But I would say keep an eye on this 189 area, and then the 190 is the bigger resistance. If you remember, Joel, going back into, we talked about this 190 number back in October and November, maybe that comes into play just from a psychological perspective again. So if we were to get up in that 190 area, I think you might find some more resistance.
Okay, our next stock, Chevron Corporation, that has one of the more interesting technical formations here I'd like to alert our listeners to. Here you have a $107 stock, and it's had four closes. The last four closes have been between 106.73 and 106.93. Four closes in a row here for consolidation in Chevron Corporation. It's either here to go up and test that all-time high again up in the 110 level, or we're going to break down and perhaps go down and test Wednesday's low at 105.20. What's your take on Chevron Corporation, Dennis?
Really tight consolidation, Joel. You're absolutely right. Forming like a type of pennant right here where it's basically going to break out or break down. I'd look at those highs that you just pointed out. We start getting above, Friday's high 107.20, and then look to this high here. If we can take that high out, then we could possibly move a little bit higher as well. So if it starts to get above 108, then I think it might start to flirt up with that 110 area again, possibly the 52-week high, a 110.99. But if we were to break down below 105, then I'd get concerned. So I think you wait for the move and you see which way it goes, and I think you probably go with the move.
Okay, moving on our next component, Mr. Softy. Blows the doors off the street on Friday with his numbers. Gapped up, never looked back. Made a high at 29.74 with a close at 29.71. See, traded down here a penny in the pre-market. So above that 29.74 level, folks, you got to expect a test of the 30.06 level. But some of the numbers that I was looking at this chart were some highs back from April and May of 2010 up at the 3106 level. But it's a question, Dennis, how long can Microsoft sustain this rally?
Really strong, Joel. It's been breaking out here for the last month as low as 26, now up and gonna probably test that 30 area. I'd expect that to be your initial resistance. You got to think that 30 hasn't been there for a year and a half, so I got to think there's going to be some sellers there. But it seems to take out all the resistance points that we talk about. It just keeps on marching higher. So again, if you look, I agree. Go back and you look at those 2010 highs up in the 31s. Maybe that's where it eventually wants to test. But the chart is hard to short a stock when it's this strong, Joel.
Okay, moving on to GE. Shrugged off some okay numbers on Friday. Open lower at 1868. Made the low there. Never really looked back, Dennis. And now here we are. We're at Thursdays and Fridays high. Weekly highs. Just banging on the door here, Dennis. Any size in the book to keep this thing from perhaps testing the 1953 level, which was the high back on July 22nd?
Yeah, Joel, there is actually, it's pretty thick here all over the place. 1915, 1920, 1922, 1925. Going to have real trouble opening over 1925. I think it's got to take out all those numbers I just talked about before I would want to buy this thing. So I think you play from the short side until it starts taking out that 1925 area. Then you could look maybe up to the 1950 area. So you got 25 cents maybe if you get higher than 19 and a quarter, but it's got to get through that 19 and a quarter area first. And just full disclosure, I do have a trading position on in GE as well.
Yeah, just another note here. That stock had the exact same close on Thursday and Friday, 19.15, marking two closes over the $19 level. So even though it's only 4 cents away, 19.15 will be support in GE. Moving on to Procter Gamble, kind of all over the map on expiration Friday there, the options expiration. Really snuggling in here, Dennis. 66 and a quarter was Thursdays and Fridays highs. Closed right up there at 66.23. That was also the close in the area the day before it went ex-dividend. So those dividend players are just trying to get out even and not looking for a profit on the play. 66 and a quarter major resistance. Coming back on the downside, Thursdays and Fridays lows were 65.42 to 65.45. Not a lot in so it should be interesting if we get a move below 65 and a half in Procter Gamble or above 66 and a quarter. Dennis, this stock has just been treading water here for a couple weeks.
Well, it's funny. It had analysts downgrade it there on Friday, which made the stock open near the low, 65.63, bottoming out at 65.45. Today, it's got another downgrade again from Stifel Nicholas, so they're picking on a little bit after its Gwinnett dividend here. I guess a lot of these analysts just like to collect the dividend and then downgrade it after the dividend. But looking, it is trading down here 30 cents on that downgrade. But interesting enough, remember, it opened, it had a downgrade Friday and then actually ended up closing higher. So you wonder if we could see the same type of move where the stock opens down in weakness on the initial downgrade, but then bottoms and starts to rally again. 66 and a quarter is going to be initial resistance. I see some size of 66 and a half. So if you get that high, and then after that, the 67 is just enormous, Joel.
Yeah, I think the difference between Friday and today with the Procter Gamble and the downgrade, etc., is on Friday you had it opening into support. You had it opening up into the previous day's low. Here, if we do open at this level, won't see support until there. So there's a little bit of different scenario there with Procter Gamble today. Moving on to AT, busting out above Friday's high. Perhaps trying to sniff that $31 level. First, we have the 11-day high at 30.68. Above that, we're looking at some July highs. Coming back on the downside, 30.30 to 30.35 Thursday and Friday's low. That'll be major support. Once again, consolidation here in AT&T and trying to test that $31 level.
It looks thick here all the way up to 31, so I think it's going to be a rough ride trying to get that high. I mean, this stock, AT&T, always a thick stock anyways. Did take out that 30.50 number that we were talking about, so I don't see anything super significant. I just kind of see size, smaller size all over the place going up all the way to 31. So if you are playing it from the long side, just expect it to kind of, have a slow climb possibly if it's going to take out that size. But again, 30.68 number that Joel just pointed out, that should be some resistance as well.
Okay, moving on to J&J here, folks. One thing of note here, we've had 9 consecutive closes between 65.13 and 65.21, or excuse me, and 65.29. Snicker, get up above 65 and a half a few times during that, but just pulls back, seems to settle in this range. Use 65.55 Friday's high as major resistance. Coming back on the downside, you had consecutive lows at the 64 and a half, which was Tuesday's low, and Friday's low was right there too at 64.54. So another stock here consolidating to make its next move, perhaps to bust out above 66, or if in fact we get some closes below the 64 and a half dollar level, we could be headed south.
Yeah, it's been a quiet one too. The 66 is just enormous on this. This is a number we've talked about for the last 2 months. We're 50 cents away from there right now, trading 65.47 in the pre-market after closing at 65.27. So I'd expect major resistance starting probably around 65.80 and then going all the way up again to the 65.90s. There's probably high frequency resistance all over the place in there as they like to lean on that 66 number.
Okay, moving on to our final component, Pfizer, Dennis, just using this $22 level as a magnet. Did break down a little bit on Thursday to 21.59. Friday's low was above that at 21.73. Friday's high 22.05. It just really we need 3 closes above this $22 level in order to confirm the next leg up in Pfizer.
And I got a trading position on in that one too, Joel, so I'll limit my comments. But it is trading up 9 cents, so showing a little bit of relative strength here this morning.
Okay, just quick recap of the S&Ps here. Friday's high 13.1150, or excuse me, 13.1175 was Friday's high. 13.1150 was Thursday's high. So just hanging above those highs there, folks. See if it can hold up here during the pre-market session. That's a wrap of the SPUs and the Big Ten. We'll be back in a few minutes with our market movers.